when we've looked at manufacturing, we really haven't looked at why manufacturing isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just related to the tariff system. And it may be easier for Indian companies to manufacture abroad and then assemble in India. If you look at the value chain, there's not much value added in assembly.
Right.
If I go below manufacturing now, it's design. So you make more money in design than you make in manufacturing, and you make less money in assembling, and even less money sometimes if you're trying to sell commodities.
Mm-hmm.
So we also then need to look at, can we design those things where manufacturing is going to lead to, higher value. Right now, some of the tariff structures. The other thing that is hurting Indian companies, in my opinion, are the labor laws.
Right.
And so some of these things have to be taken care of before manufacturing is going to become more productive.
Right.
Service sector is interesting. I think there's legs in those industries.
Mm-hmm.
And so while one talks about how manufacturing is available, to everybody, let me just take you in an entirely different context. When I was in the US, a friend of mine worked in Detroit, in a neighborhood of Detroit called Oakland. There was Oakland University. Oakland University was going to close down the School of Nursing because Americans didn't want to go to the School of Nursing.
Really?
Yeah, because the problem is, you're having to deal with people who are sick and terminally sick, and I know some people personally who are in that profession, and after 5, 6, 7 years, there's a little bit of a tendency to burn out.
It's unrewarding.
So whatever it is. So they were going to close that school down. Then the local hospital said, you can't do that. Why? Because we need nurses. So the question is, where do we find students? You know where they found students? In Kerala. Okay. So, it doesn't, I know we're having trouble with H-1B visas, but as the populations get older, do they not need services, let's say, in healthcare? And so, again, we have to think a little bit more creatively in saying, where do we take services further? And in the services area, we have a big advantage. About 3-4 months ago, I was on a flight from Singapore to Hyderabad. And the person sitting next to me was a liver surgeon who did liver transplants. And we were chatting, and he said, I was asking him, why are you going to Hyderabad? Then he said, I'm really envious of my colleagues in India. So I said, why? Singapore, you get paid more, this, that, and the other. He said, no, you don't understand, sir. He says, if I am lucky to do 1 or 2 liver transplants a month in Singapore, my colleagues in India are doing 1 or 2 a day. So practice makes perfect. So there are some areas
the scale
where
is much bigger.
The scale in India is so high that we can actually, and the service sector is actually one of them. So, why can't we be one of the best globally? Why do we have to be the lowest priced one?
Well, and I think that's, part of the reason I want to come to India is because there is that more opportunity in the sense of more things to work on. And yet, Alok Goel asks about the lack of focus on R&D in India. Is there essentially going to be R&D in India, or is it being overlooked? Are foreign companies going to take all this consumption pie that India is growing, or is there going to be domestic R&D as well?
Right, so there are really 2 comments I want to make. One is, indeed, the R&D is very low. So if we look at the Indian telcos, did they develop any of their own technology? They were initially buying from Ericsson, and they were buying from Nokia Siemens, now Nokia Networks. And then along came Huawei, who had a lower priced product because they already had the China Mobile contract, and because of that, they could underprice in India also. There's probably a bit of government subsidy as well. So Huawei found a way to do R&D and move up the value ladder. And now they're giving Nokia and Ericsson a run for their money in Europe. We used originally the Nokia and the Ericsson equipment. Now we're using Huawei equipment, but we never bothered to develop the technology. So earlier on, I was making the comment that there was no margin in design
Yes.
relative to manufacturing, relative to assembly, and so on. So we are not doing enough. I didn't mean to just pull up telecom. I think if you go across industries, we will find that we are not doing enough R&D. It is changing however. So if you take Cummins, their design center is in India, their manufacturing is in China. So it's not always true, but design is a strength. So just as we have Make in India, why can't we have design in India?
Right.
As a campaign.
Right.
Actually, a lot of design is being done in India. So one of my students from Texas, he was head of Texas Instruments India, and he told me that the Bangalore operations of TI, now this is several years ago, I don't know the current numbers, but at that time, the Bangalore Center for Texas Instruments was one of the most productive when it came to research in the world. So to some extent, work is being done for the MNCs.
Right.
It is being patented in the West. So please don't undersell. What we need to do is find ways to do better value capture. So therefore we have to ask the question, why is it being patented in the West? Right? So we have to improve our IP strategies.